One story that stands out is from July 5th, 2021. An unlicensed dispensary had been coughing up $25,000 a month to the Big U enterprise, but finally stopped paying. That day, 11 men, including Loose Cannon, rolled up, masks on, guns out, and hit the spot. They took cash, product, and even held the customers at gunpoint. During the chaos, one of the masked men put the owner on the phone with Big U. The twist? Big U invited the owner to his house. When the owner showed up, he found Big U and the crew with the loot from his own store, telling him he had just robbed himself, giving back some items, but demanding $10,000 so it wouldn't happen again. Years later, Loose Cannon would talk about it openly, calling the whole setup weird, and noting how Big U supplied the guns, but kept tabs on the serial numbers like collateral. That fallout, Loose Cannon speaking publicly about robberies, guns, and other crimes, played a huge part in turning him from a trusted enforcer into a liability. Once he started spilling on podcasts and social media, he was essentially out of Big U's inner circle, exposing secrets that once ran deep in LA's streets. Loose Cannon's loose lips were a ticking time bomb for Big U. One incident highlighted in the criminal complaint and discussed openly on podcasts allegedly involved Meek Mill. Loose, along with other 60s members, supposedly grabbed Meek at a venue and threatened him, demanding $50,000 from his label boss, Rick Ross. Reports say the money was paid, but Meek Mill later denied the story entirely. The bigger picture here is that Loose Cannon, fresh out of the streets and eager for clout, didn't seem to grasp the consequences of talking so openly about these crimes. He openly discussed robberies, guns, and even sensitive topics like Nipsey Hussle's death. By spilling these secrets, he was effectively exposing the inner workings of Big U's street empire to the world. Their fallout turned Loose from a loyal enforcer into a major liability, openly disrespecting Big U at every opportunity. What might have once been tightly controlled street operations was now being aired publicly, making Big U's position far more precarious. Wack 100 played a strategic role by befriending Loose Cannon and exploiting the cracks in Big U's empire. Through Loose Cannon, Wack apparently learned about a poorly executed murder in Las Vegas, allegedly tied to Big U. He then used that knowledge to drip feed information to both the public and Big U himself, creating pressure and accelerating the unraveling of Big U's operations. But it wasn't just outside manipulation. Big U's own actions, the sloppy execution of crimes, and his double life made him vulnerable. By the time the 2025 criminal complaint dropped, the details of these alleged crimes, including murder, extortion, and organized criminal activity, painted a picture of a man whose empire had collapsed largely due to his own choices. The 4-year gap between the alleged Las Vegas incident and public knowledge gave investigators time to build their case, making escape virtually impossible. This combination of internal mistakes, disloyal allies, and external manipulation set the stage for Big U's eventual legal exposure. What the streets would later come to understand is that the money plays, the check-ins, and the club shakedowns were only the surface. Underneath all that noise sat something far darker. According to the 2025 criminal complaint, the same man who moved like a neighborhood savior was allegedly tied to a crime that cut way closer to home. Ray Shawn wasn't just another name. He was family adjacent. A young athlete with real promise, somebody the hood once talked about like he was next up. Highlights of him tearing it up on the field floated around online when he was still a teenager, built like a future star. At one point, UCLA was watching him closely, seeing what the rest of the city already saw. But fate hit him dirty. A knee injury knocked him off the field for an entire season, and by 2018, the dream had quietly slipped away. Big U wasn't some distant figure in Ray Shawn's life. He coached him, knew him personally, Ray Shawn even stayed under Big U's roof for a stretch during high school, eating at the same table, moving like extended family. That situation cracked, though, when Ray Shawn allegedly crossed a line, taking a chain that belonged to Big U's son and wearing it to school. That move got him put out the house, fast. In the streets, respect violations linger, even when people act like they don't. Still, the connection didn't fully die. After football was over, after the injury shut doors that once felt wide open, Big U was allegedly still around Ray Shawn, offering guidance, pointing him toward other lanes to run in life. From the outside, it looked like mentorship, like somebody looking out for a young homie who lost his shot. That's what makes the allegation hit so heavy. The criminal complaint claims that the same trust, that same access, is what ultimately put Ray Shawn in danger. A kid who once lived in the house, who once wore the colors on the field, allegedly became a victim in one of the most serious accusations tied to Big U's name. Not a random street beef, not business gone wrong. Something personal, something close. Ray Shawn was at a crossroads. Football dreams had faded, the lights dimmed, and the next chapter wasn't clear. So he grabbed a mic. Around May 2020, he stepped into rap under the name Young Judah, pushing the idea that this was his fresh start. He teased a project called Golden Dreams, finally letting it drop that June, talking like this was the one that would crack the door open for him. He stayed active online, flooding his page with snippets, showing the grind, showing the hunger. But the truth was, the music wasn't catching fire. The songs felt raw, unfinished, more passion than polish. In one track, he called himself Ray Hustle, a name that carried weight whether he meant it to or not, echoing the name of another fallen prodigy tied to the same circles. Still, Ray Shawn didn't quit. Each snippet sounded a little sharper than the last. He started leaning into auto-tune, tapping into pain records, trying to turn scars into melodies. While the music struggled to find traction, his lifestyle told a different story. Ray Shawn was posting up in luxury spots, moving like success had already arrived. Vegas became a regular backdrop. Bright lights, hotel views, the look of someone living fast. One post hinted at his mindset, brushing off critics, basically saying people think he's rude, but he wasn't losing sleep over it. What the post didn't show was the tension building underneath. Big U had allegedly been backing Ray Shawn's studio runs in Las Vegas, trying to give him a real shot. The opportunity was there, but Ray Shawn wasn't locking in. Instead of maximizing studio time, word was he was outside too much, treating sessions like vacations. People involved in setting up the sessions noticed he wasn't moving with urgency, missing days when he was supposed to be recording non-stop. Then things shifted. On January 20th, 2021, Ray Shawn allegedly recorded a track that sounded like a warning shot. Lyrics about money, disrespect, and someone getting hit in the face. No names dropped, but the message felt pointed. Investigators would later believe the bars were aimed at Big U, tied to frustration over wasted time and pressure behind the scenes. The next day, Ray Shawn posted another snippet. Different energy, but still charged. He rapped about not needing hate when disagreements happen, brushing off criticism, telling whoever had something to say to stand on it. Calm on the surface, but firm. No direct shots, no obvious call-outs. Still, the moment didn't go unnoticed. That post carried a quiet signal, because it was the only one Big U ever liked publicly. In the streets, a move like that isn't support, it's awareness. A reminder that eyes are open and nothing slips by. Whether Ray Shawn meant it as a diss or just needed to vent, the situation was already tense. And once tension hits that level, even silence can speak loud. According to the paperwork, things went sideways fast. 2 days after that heated studio post, on January 21st, coincidentally Big U's daughter's birthday, he and Vay, his right-hand man, jumped in the whip and rolled out from LA to Vegas. They pulled up at the studio unannounced, late at night, catching everyone off guard. Security at the door was blinking, asking questions, trying to figure out why Big U was in their spot. Word on the street, and later the indictment confirmed, is that Big was there to check Ray Shawn, making sure he was grinding in the studio like he was supposed to, and not wasting the time Big U had fronted him. Things didn't stop there. Later that night, Big U reportedly slid through to Ray's Airbnb around 2 a.m., showing up at the door like a storm. He was on Ray about skipping studio sessions, disrespecting the setup, and undermining the Big U enterprise. That wasn't the kind of energy you could ignore in his world. Fast forward a few days, January 24th into the night of the 25th, Big U was back at a recording spot, this time with Ray Shawn and someone only known as Witness 2. Big U got there around 7:04 p.m. Ray showed up a little later. They laid tracks from around 11 p.m. to midnight, but whatever Ray was spitting wasn't cutting it. Big U wasn't feeling it, and tension in the room was climbing. By 12:37 a.m., Big U left the studio, supposedly giving Ray a ride back to his Airbnb. Then things went fully off the rails. By 12:58 a.m., Big U's phones went dead, vanishing from all location trackers. Somewhere along that ride, the conversation between him and Ray Shawn reportedly took a dark turn. By 1:13 a.m., they pulled up to Ray's Airbnb. Ray spent about 10 minutes gathering his things, tossing a suitcase in the car like any other night, unaware the night would end differently. Even though paperwork said he was scheduled to stay another night, Big U reportedly drove Ray down the I-15 highway, heading into isolation. That's allegedly when it all turned lethal. Big U allegedly pulled off the road in a desolate stretch of desert near a landfill and executed Ray Shawn, leaving his body in the sand with multiple gunshot wounds to the head. Investigators later mapped out the drive and confirmed the timeline matched. The route from the Airbnb to the murder site, and then to the point where Big U's phone came back online around 2:15 a.m., tracking location again. Within an hour of switching his phone back on, Big U returned to the studio looking soaked and tense, claiming he had just been to the gym. But anyone watching would know. After that night, the story wasn't about fitness anymore. The streets and the desert had already told their own brutal version. A few days after that night in Vegas, Big U reportedly made a move straight out of a playbook. He demanded that all cameras, mics, and anything recording from the studio be pulled. Word on the paperwork was that he didn't want anyone seeing what went down between him and Ray Shawn in those early morning hours. Detectives later piecing it together figured that footage could have shown the blow-up that happened before the desert drive turned fatal. Big U bounced back to LA like nothing had happened, leaving the city behind. But the cops in North Las Vegas were already on the scene. The next morning, they found Ray Shawn's body dumped near the Apex landfill. The scene told a brutal story. Blood and drag marks along the side of the I-15 painted a chilling picture of where it all went down. When NLVPD broke the news to Ray's mom, the heartbreak was immediate. She told them how close Big U and Ray Shawn had been, how her son would call her every week without fail. Then, suddenly, those calls stopped. She had apparently reached out to Big U herself, asking if he'd seen Ray, and he flat out denied it. No trace, no hint, nothing. Even the next day, he allegedly tried to ghost the situation by sending a DM to Ray's Instagram account, but it went nowhere. For the next 2 years, silence. Meanwhile, Big U was back in the spotlight, like the streets in Vegas never even happened. He returned to LA and dove straight into promoting his new documentary, Hip Hop Uncovered, set to drop on FX, playing the part of the mogul, the community guy, the reformed OG. Out in the world, the news of Ray Shawn's death rippled through the football community. Crenshaw High, his old team, posted the news, and teammates flooded Twitter with tributes. But Big U? Crickets. No acknowledgement, no post, Nothing for a kid who had been practically part of the family. Strangely enough, when Gilly's son Cheese got killed later on, Big U made a post on the Unique Music account, talking about losing kids to the streets, looking all heartfelt and concerned. But for anyone paying attention, it seemed like a move layered with irony. Remember, Big U and the 60s allegedly shook down Gilly and his son years before. In that world, showing concern could be just another layer of the game. As the days rolled on, Big U didn't slow down, not even a little. Instead of disappearing, he leaned all the way into the spotlight. He stayed pushing his upcoming FX documentary like nothing in the world had shifted. On social media, he was front and center, posting clips from behind the scenes, laughing it up while Wardrobe hit him with the lint roller, flexing like a man who had officially crossed over. The image was clear. He wasn't just an OG anymore. He was a star now. Then came the post that made people pause. On February 8th, he dropped a message that felt loaded, saying folks don't really care about the truth when a lie is more entertaining. No explanation, no context. Just a sentence that sat heavy for anyone paying attention. Right after that, he was back on Instagram again, celebrating big. A billboard for his show had popped up on Sunset Boulevard, and Big U pulled up in person to document it. Laughing, talking slick, saying people were telling others to stay away from him. He brushed it off like noise, joking through it, moving like the warnings didn't mean a thing. Then he slid in a line that hit familiar, saying the marathon continues, a phrase loaded with history, sounding like a quiet jab wrapped in a smile. This wasn't someone laying low. This was someone basking in attention, soaking it all in, acting untouchable, despite allegedly being tied to something dark less than a month earlier. The shine only got brighter when Hip Hop Uncovered finally dropped on February 12, 2021. Big U teased it hard, posting clips ahead of time. In one, Wiz Khalifa called him the Godfather, saying nothing in rap moves without Big U being consulted first. That image, power broker, gatekeeper, final boss, was being pushed heavy. Within weeks, he was sitting at the peak. His story was now being broadcast to millions, framed as legacy, influence, and survival. The show walked through his life in carefully chosen pieces, painting him as a man who moved worlds behind the scenes. One moment in particular stood out. Big U saying that when he doesn't answer his phone, somebody could die. It was said casually, but coming from someone standing dead center in the spotlight, it hit different. One of Big U's closest ride-or-die homies, Bearclaw, even showed up on IG, hyping him with a post that read, "When you sit down and put your mind to it, anything is possible." On the surface, it looked like love and loyalty, but behind closed doors, the pressure was heavy, grinding on Big U from all sides. By early March, he was snapping online, posting messages that made it clear he was tired of folks hitting him with petty questions, telling people to keep him out the nonsense. The later criminal complaint would paint a darker picture. In recorded conversations, Big U allegedly dropped lines hinting at serious consequences for anyone who disrespected him, even alluding to killing a kid over perceived slights, and calling out everyone who thought he'd gone soft or retired. Whatever the case, it was the kind of move that would come back to haunt him. Big U might have made the deadliest mistake of his life, but nobody would see the full fallout for years. Meanwhile, the LA streets kept humming with extortion, power plays, and quiet chaos, spilling eventually into the podcast world. Loose Cannon, Wack 100, and others slowly started piecing things together, letting listeners get a front row seat to the street-level drama that had been bubbling behind the glitz and the lights. Every revelation, every snippet of truth, aired on social platforms chipped away at the empire, until the feds finally stepped in, bringing the whole story crashing down. The heat had been building for years. Big U knew it too. He could feel it coming. But by the time the law moved, the pieces had all been set in motion, leaving an explosive reckoning that nobody could have ignored. On the 2-year mark of Ray Shawn Williams' murder, the North Las Vegas PD rolled up to Big U's crib. But he wasn't home. His wife had to hit him on his pop's phone, warning him, and Big U sounded rattled, noticeably off his usual game. Word is, he stayed out the house for a couple weeks, something that wasn't normal for him at all. Behind the scenes, the heat was real. Cops and the FBI were trying to reach everyone connected to the case, but Big U kept sliding, staying one step ahead, allegedly twisting witness statements, making sure nothing directly pinned him down. He was under heavy surveillance in the weeks before the arrest dropped. The criminal complaint would later show a long trail of recordings of him bragging about using straight-up fear and violence to control his streets. By summer 2023, he even got pulled over and had a warrant served for a DNA sample. Rumors started swirling hard. The 600s and Wack were putting the word out that things were about to get serious. Big U went online to clap back, saying the allegations were false, claiming people blamed him for everything. He even hinted at fresh rumors connecting him to the murder of Fats, Nipsey's closest homie, keeping the streets buzzing and the spotlight firmly on him. March 17th, 2025. That's when the run finally ended. The noise stopped, the lights cut off, and the feds made their move. After years of whispers, rumors, and half-truths floating through the streets and the internet, the hammer came down on Big U and the rolling 60s. A massive 107-page criminal complaint hit the system, laying out what the government said was a long-running street empire that had been bullying, taxing, and terrorizing LA for years. 2 days later, the cuffs followed. They called it Operation Drawdown, a name that felt intentional, almost mocking. A direct nod to Draws, the man who'd built a reputation off fear and influence.